Hello there and a good morning to you. Thank you for staying tuned to Sunrise at Sea right here on CTV. It's time for our views and my name is Apollo Sarah. I'm joined by the ladies Agi Uwase and Shivan Auma. Shivan, how are you this morning?
I have been chucked. Well, the month is ending and I am ending with a broken heart.
Oh, honey, sorry about that.
Please hit my inbox, my Twitter, send me money.
some
I want
money.
flowers, I want dinner, I want to be pampered.
You need chocolate,
And ice cream.
your comfort foods. Well, the reason why we are here today on Our Views is we're going to be discussing family businesses. And I asked the question on our social media, is it ever a good idea to work or do business with your family? Well, get this. Family businesses are significant players in Uganda's economy, representing approximately 12% of the 200 largest companies in the country, that is Uganda. Well, 11 of the 25 family-owned businesses in Uganda have a minimum revenue of, get this, between 100 million US dollars to 500 million US dollars annually. That is on a minimum. Well, based on estimations using subsidiary revenues. Well, while family businesses are fairly, common across the continent, and not even just the continent here in Africa, but across the world, only a handful enjoy longevity. And the survival rate of most family businesses do not live beyond the founders' years. And it shows that the failure rate is so high, it is so high that about 30% of the family businesses only survive to the second generation and under 10% survive to the third generation. Well, a number of successful family businesses in Uganda, some of them you may know, for instance, Murana Group of Companies. They specialized in dairy products like milk, cheese and all that stuff. Then there's the Ruparelia group of companies. Now these ones go across the board from real estate to education to insurance to healthcare. There's Mukwano Group. Everybody uses above soap from this company. All right. And then there is Madvani Group of Companies. And if you like sugar in your tea, you have definitely drunk their product. So ladies, I want to ask you the question, is it ever a good idea to work or do business with family?
Honestly, for me, it's a yes and no.
Why is it a yes, first of all?
It's a yes because we have seen, you have just mentioned a few of the families that have made it. You talked of the Ruparelia group that has made it. We see that they are thriving as a family and they're doing they're doing their business as a family. That means they set their boundaries and their foundation is really firm. It comes to putting out emotions, thinking rationally, because at the end of the day, if you want your business to thrive, just like they say, do not mix friendship with business. I think it also translates and relates to family as well, because how you relate with your family member, because you are emotionally attached to them, you have all this yes, the genetic attachment and all that. You treat them differently from a stranger, definitely. So when it comes to family and business, I feel like if you set your boundaries straight and know that if in case of anything, let's say a family member has mishandled finances, that they will be implicated. Rather, there will be repercussions for that. Say you can fire them without having to favor them because they are your family members. Those are the boundaries that I'm talking about. And but if you're put in a situation whereby you have your business, it's running, and then a family member mishandles finances, and then you have to feel not feel sorry for them, or to not actually have to penalize them for mishandling the finances, then that business is bound to fail, definitely, because you are mixing emotions, you are mixing family ties with business. It definitely will have to fail. That's why I said it's a yes and a no. So it's all about, for me, it's all about setting boundaries and setting goals as a family. If let's say you are starting the business as a family, or if you are a father and you have a running business or an empire, and then you bring in your son, or could be your heir or something, it could be your heir, yes, as the one to manage the company, you should be in position to actually fire them in case of any wrongdoing. But if you do not do that, definitely the business will fail, because they will take it for granted that it's family business, and that is mixing relations with business. It will fail. It will not. It will not.
Isn't that a very tricky, slippery slope, having to you know, like you said, fire them and all that stuff, don't you think it's a very
Those are the
slippery
boundaries
slope?
I'm talking about.
Uh-huh.
They should be in the know. They know that while I'm a family member, I am a worker as well. Say you are the manager and I am your secretary, or maybe you are the CEO and I'm the managing director. In that regard, I should be able to know that this is business aside from family, right? So I should work like
How
I am
is
working
it
for the
business aside
I
from family,
think-
yet it is a family business?
Let me first of all put this across. Many of the businesses that have thrived in Uganda, especially in Asia and India and countries like that, they have thrived under the guise of family. It is very important that even when you want to consider starting a business that involves family members, you understand the kind of family that you're dealing with. If your family does not understand boundaries, if your family takes things personally, if your family is emotional, if your family will not accept to be corrected by another family member, it cannot work.
But this is
That
character traits and
Exactly.
characteristics of family in
But
general.
exactly, but you see,
the family familiar, you get?
well, that does make sense.
Okumanyira, you know?
It's still very important and vital to make sure that even as you consider starting a business with your family, or starting up a family-owned company, that your family business is built on ethics and values. What does that mean? That all your family members understand that while this is a family-owned business, we are here to get a job done. Do they understand that? Do they understand that we are not going to mix emotions and business? And guess what? That is the ideal. But the truth of the matter, that is not what happens. For example, if you're the CEO of a company and you're my husband, and I am the managing director, and I made a mishap and you fired me and you're my husband, yes. Do you expect to come back home and I'm welcoming you with open hands? Now that takes a sense of maturity. How many people are mature enough to understand that you did not do what you were supposed to do, you did not pull your weight at work, and now you're facing the consequences, and business should remain in the business chambers and family should remain in the family chambers. Not so many people are able to differentiate business or family from family and emotions. We mix the two. You did this to me at work, so I'm not going to cook for you food. You did this to me at work, so I'm going to walk out of this relationship.
So then why is it, especially with Africans, that this is actually failing? But before I go ahead, I want to just define what a family business is, because a family business is a company that is majorly owned and controlled by members of the same family. And I noticed that Asians, Indians,
absolutely,
Jews, Chinese work well together as a group, as family. For instance, some of the most successful international owned businesses are actually family business. For instance, Samsung. Facebook is also family owned because Mark Zuckerberg owns Facebook, which is now Meta. Mark Zuckerberg owns a little under a third of the company. He gave his father 2 million shares of Facebook as a thank you for, giving him money to start up the company. His sister was also executive managing director of his company, and she recently broke away to start her own business. And then I tried to find at least
An African.
10 African-owned successful businesses, even just here in Uganda. If you look at the top 5, they're all Indian-owned. Yes, technically they're Ugandans. I mean, some of them were born here. Technically they're Ugandans, but Tebali Bana Buffet, our African place. So I want us to answer the question, because with these other, races and groups, they do understand that they do understand the concept of teamwork and understand the concept of keeping wealth within the family. For instance, Indians, when they get married, you bring your family into your father's home. Whereas for us, it's an excuse to get rid of you. Sarah, Tammy, I'm tired of you. Now you go to your husband's home and only come here when you're bringing me my grandchildren. So what is the problem with us? Because one other very successful business-owned company, successful family business-owned company that I found in Africa is the Dangote Group. And we all know who Dangote is. Yes. Well, he's an entrepreneur, a businessman, and his company reels in a minimum of $4 billion annually. 4 billion annually. That is on the minimum. Of course, it might be more. So why is it that we Africans cannot work together? And I also just tried to Google some of Black African-owned successful businesses. There's Ebony and Jet magazine that is under Johnson Publications. If you love magazines, you've definitely seen Ebony magazine or Jet magazine. Then there's Harpo Inc. that is owned by Oprah Winfrey. There's also Fubu. You have seen their apparel, from the sneakers to the t-shirts, the jeans. It's now like a staple, a hip-hop staple. So why is it that we Africans are just struggling in this department to keep wealth in the family?
Africans lack work ethic. Let's just put it the way it is. And that is why, let me just go back to the time when Kim Kardashian, when they asked her for business advice, and she said, the best advice I can give for women out there is to get your ass up and work. If you are to look at the statistics, the most people who were really intrigued by her comment are blacks, are Africans. Most of
Very triggered, by the way,
very
yes.
triggered. Everyone who came out, to come out, you know, you have generational wealth. And they forget that you can have the generational wealth, but to sustain it is where the challenge is. Now, that lack of work ethic is the problem, because we do not know how to separate our emotions and then the family relations from business. We feel I will not mention who the person is, but I know I have a certain friend of mine who it's wealth, generational wealth, something like that. That's what they call it. And then, some days he wakes up and he has a big position in the father's company. Some days he wakes up and he's like, I don't want to go to work. And you're like, why? I had a long night out in the bar. And that is the excuse that he will give his father, or he will give a whole different excuse. And he expects his father to compromise because, he's my father. It's our family business, you see? So lack of work ethic, that alone. They are not committed to the work because they know, I can miss work, I may not go to work,
but whose fault is it? I don't think... First, hold on, Shiva. But whose fault is it that we lack work ethic?
It's just us. It's just us. And
but
then again,
it can't be just us, because if Asians, if the Jews, if Chinese,
and that is what I want
Americans
to answer.
are doing
are able
this,
to do it,
then how are they learning?
I do not think it's
Why
an
is
issue.
it different from us? Why is it that we lack work ethic? Is it that our parents are not teaching us well? Is it that the school system is failing us?
On this particular issue that I've talked about, it's because this gentleman knows for sure that if I miss work, I will not be implicated for it. My father will not that he will compromise because he's my father. So it still goes back to the parents. Because if you as a parent, you have your business and you want your business to continue running. If your son is not showing up for work and they have a managerial role, which at the end of the day is very fundamental for the company to thrive, then you should be able to fire them if they're not living up to the expectations. That means that it will set a precedent for every other worker in the work setting to actually feel like, I could also miss work and it's okay because the manager is doing it and the CEO or their father is not doing a thing about it. So it goes back to the parents. But then again, while your parent is not so strict on you, if you have the work ethic, if you have the drive, to see your family business thrive, then you will wake up every day and do the work without having to be pushed by your parent. So while we put it on the parent, it also goes back to you as an individual. You can create your work ethic.
While work ethic might be a reason as to why probably Africans are not flourishing when it comes to the family business, I strongly believe that to an extent it comes to the aspect of creativity.
Is that so?
This is something that creativity, thinking outside the box, going beyond, okay, yes, you went to school, you got a first class, what else? White collar jobs is what our minds are. Let's look at the Ugandan statistics. How many youth are on the streets of Kampala with first class degrees? They went through campus, but they have no jobs. Do you know why? Because they do not want to do other jobs. They do not want to be creative. They want white collar jobs. They want to sit in office. They want SC.
But whose fault is it that they want white collar jobs? Is what the genesis of the problem?
The education system has made it seem like the people that have made it in life are people that have prestigious jobs. When if for a second 30% of our youth could sit down and come up with different businesses and come up with different companies, the world would be a better place. Why do you constantly want to work for other people? How about you start a business of your own? How about you wake up one morning and start an online media channel? How much would that cost? How about you wake up one morning and start a nanny servicing center? We don't know how many of those do we have in Africa. Let's take a look. How about you wake up one morning and start a home where elderly people can actually receive treatment and care? We don't have many of those in Africa. Those are all opportunities that many of us can take in. But what are we waiting for? We are waiting for people to provide for us some of these things. We are waiting for these things to be given to us on a silver spoon. And I think, to an extent, the parents have also, been the reason as to why we have children who think that they're entitled. Okay, my father, is rich, my mom is rich, I do not have to work. They need to know that the wealth, and that is one thing I credit my parents for. They keep telling me, our money is for me and my wife. You're working for your own money, and I know I am on a clean slate. I have nothing. So the first thing is creativity. The next one is the education system. Let's look at the education system in Uganda. Does it advocate for people to be creative, for people to be go-getters, or is it creating a bunch of people who just wake up one morning and they just want to sit in office and they want things to be done for them? Are we advocating and pushing people to get out of their comfort zones and think of things that other people have not done before? I've been to Innovation Hub, and there are creative minds in there, people that know coding, people that wake up every morning and they're trying to get apps going, they're trying to push. And you can see that these are people that are moving forward, but we have people that sit back at home and wait for their husbands to bring a meal, and wait for their parents to bring a meal. So if you have such a mentality, how are you going to start a business, and how will you own it? That means even when you get into the family business, and here is the thing about people actually in Asian and in Western culture, they are very appreciative and and they also hold gratification towards the things they get, because they know they work and toiled for it. Let me tell you something. Someone that has worked and toiled for something will always appreciate it. Most people, if something is handed over to you, you will never appreciate it. You will not appreciate it more than the person that has worked for it. And that is something as Africans we lack. And I think that Indians and Asians and Chinese have actually mastered this, because one, they understand the importance of family. For us here in Africa, we are out to get each other.
Do you know
what? We are out to get each other. We are out to say, when is he dying, so that we take over.
Do you know what I attribute this to? And I have a theory. I mean, humor me. Listen. Colonization. I came across a post on Facebook that said, the reason why Africans are taught how to read and write in English, and why English is enforced in the school system, and why Africans are taught in the education system how to count and how to do math, and economics is taught in English. It is because we are not working for our economy, we're working for the economy of our colonizers and the superpowers. When you go to Russia, which language are they teaching the children in? Russian, right? When you go to Europe, which language are they teaching the children in? They are different, diverse languages. Here in Uganda in particular, my son told me the other day that he was punished for saying a vernacular word.
Oh, they did punish.
Do you get what I mean? Yeah. So dating back to the 16th century, when slavery started in Africa, what they did, colonizers did, was decentralize the family system. We had very strong family values. Family was everything. Now, by decentralizing the family system, they break the firm foundation that is us. And I think that is why we cannot work well with our family members. And I think that is why we have a crab mentality. You pull somebody down. If I'm not succeeding, you're not going to succeed. I'm going to bewitch you. I am going to do this. I am going to do that. You understand? Crab mentality. Yeah. So we are now slowly diverting away from our values of creating unity and enforcing the family structure. Look at how the rise of single parenthood in Africa and Uganda itself. Over 90,000 girls got pregnant during the lockdown. And all those girls, a good majority of them are going to be single mothers. Do you get me? So for me, okay, maybe it's a conspiracy theory, but this is where I attribute it to colonization. And yet other nations and other races, stuck together. I'm not saying that other races did not face as, big of a problem as we did as Africans, but they, remembered, they stuck to their, their guns of having family. And I think that is why they are a lot more successful than we are in having family businesses.
Yes. Now, Sarah, while I agree with you, because yes, that is what is happening in African countries, and we cannot really downplay that fact. But also, we cannot sit back and feel sorry for ourselves. You mentioned a few of the African families that have thrived in business, and even here in this country, we are seeing a Patrick Witature family.
Simba Group,
exactly, yes. Is really thriving. So those are some of the few examples. So it's not really about, okay, yes, we were colonized, but right now we are independent.
That is the thing.
Are we independent? That is a whole other conversation.
Why do you celebrate the 9th of October?
But I do not celebrate independence. I personally do not celebrate independence because we have, you see, that is a whole, that is a whole other different conversation.
I agree with you that we should not lament and feel sorry for ourselves, but we are slowly diverting away from our values and our principles. And one thing that is very important is the family unit. Family, father, mother, and as many children as they want. We don't have that. We have our parents telling us that, for me, I'm working for myself. You go work for yourself. You get that? We also have other instances where some parents are forcing their children to do things that they don't want to do, instead of embracing it and embracing their children and incorporating their skills and their talents into what they're doing. This is the thing. You could have had a father who is a lawyer, your mommy was a lawyer, your first two eldest children are lawyers, and then the third one wants to be in PR. What parents don't get, especially with our African parents here in Uganda, is that in every company there are different departments, and that company has to have different functions. So if you do not have a PR person who knows how to sweet talk the public when your company has done some manyanga, then how are you going to thrive? How are you going to carry that family business into 3+ generations? Do you understand what I mean? It's about embracing each other's different skills and talents into that family business. So it could be a family group, could branch out, have a law firm, have a PR firm, and all these other arms. Those are my 2 cents. But anyway, I would like to share some tips on what to consider when you're doing business with your family. Number 1, stay clear of partnerships. Do not have partnerships. Stay away from the partnerships and make sure that there is a mutual benefit to everybody in the party. The number 2, communicate openly and often. Number 3, set clear boundaries, like Aggie said. Number 4, have a succession plan. In the event the founder passes on or retires or steps down, who is taking over? Number 5, I beg your pardon, define roles and job descriptions. Family members need to have a JD. Matter of fact, they are the first ones. They are the most important people to give a job description to. Number 6, get outside advice, and often it is good to consult with other people doing the same business. And if you also want a second opinion, it's also important. And then lastly, create a vision and culture. Bring the culture of respect, work ethic, a commitment, no procrastination, and above all, have the mutual interest to see that, the company, grows and continues to outlive everybody. And that is all I had for you on this segment of Our Views. But the conversation continues on our social media, so please connect with us on Facebook and Twitter. Let me know your thoughts. Would you do business with family? If not, has it worked? Has it failed? And let me know why, one thing or the other happened. So, and that is all. But stay tuned, because Sunrise at Sea continues.
Well, thank you so much for choosing to be waking up with us this morning on Sunrise at Sea. I do hope that you had an amazing time with myself and the ladies. The month has finally come to an end. For very many people, that means enjoyment. That means walking to the bank. We are pretty much excited, but the new month is coming up, which means it's time for you to set new goals and new resolutions. Otherwise, from the team and I, we wish you the end of a happy new month, the end of a month, and then a happy new month that will definitely start tomorrow. Keep watching Sunrise at Sea. But next is Month of the Woman, and Martha is up next. Don't blink.